right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to an episode of All the WrestleManias, the podcast. I'm your co-host, Tim Hackman.
And I'm Rich Sigwald.
We are thrilled to be back in the studio with you. As always, we got a really exciting one for you today. We're kicking it old school. Do the kids still say that?
Oh yeah, I'm so amped for this. I've been jonesing to talk about this show for a while now.
So this is off of the Peacock. There's a little series called WWE Old School, and it's really just some sometimes random, but sometimes really meaningful matches put together under that title. So the one that we wanted to look at is episode 13 of the Old School series, and it is the Birth of Hulkamania. It's live and in color from Madison Square Garden in New York City, January 23rd, 1984. We just had a big anniversary of this show just a couple weeks ago. That would have been actually that would have been this week as we're recording this here.
Yeah.
So 39. Is that possible? Am I that old? 39 years ago this week.
Yeah.
Hulkamania was born, and it's been running wild ever since. So that's what we are here to talk to you about today. We hope you enjoyed our recent episodes. We hope you caught the Royal Rumble preview. By the time this episode comes out, the actual Royal Rumble will have happened, and you can see just how right we were about all of our predictions.
Obviously.
And hopefully you also caught the 2 for Tuesday episode where we talked about those rare pay-per-views that happen on nights other than Saturdays or Sundays. That one was a lot of fun as well. And don't forget, we're at allthewrestlemanias.com. You can find us on Twitter at WrestleManiaPod. You can always send us your emails, your questions, your comments, your requests to allthewrestlemanias@gmail.com. We've got Facebook, we've got Instagram, we've got TikTok, we've got YouTube. We've got all this stuff. And Rich, do you want to give them the coffee?
Yeah, so it's www.ko-fi.com/allthewrestlemanias, all one word. And there, if you feel so inclined, you can shoot us a couple bucks if you enjoy the program and want to try and help support it. If not, we're cool.
Yeah.
We're not doing this for the money. We're not in it for the money. I mean, money would be great, but
we're doing it for the chicks.
Here we are, obviously, because talking about Howard Finkel in a leisure suit is going to get all the ladies going.
That's for sure. Yeah. So Howard Finkel's back not back. This is Prime Fink on announcing.
He's got hair.
Yeah, it's crazy. And Gorilla Monsoon and Pat Patterson are on commentary on this one, which is really interesting. So do you want to talk a little bit about the background for this show?
Yeah, so first, this is real old school. It's 1984. So they have ringside judges of Abe Coleman, Paula Mora, and Jack Gibbons. I don't know what they're judging. I don't think they can go. I guess there's scorecards. I guess we're told that this is sanctioned by the New York Athletic Commission, and the timekeeper loves ringing that bell.
It's pretty much his favorite thing to do.
Yeah. Oh my God, he's just all over it. Like when they say his name, he rings the bell, and then after Fink stops talking, he rings the bell like real stuttery, like crazy, ding, 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 ding. Like he's got his own little beat going. So as where this takes place in wrestling history, Hulk Hogan has just come back to the WWF. This is his second run in the WWF. He had just gone back to Minnesota to the AWA, and this whole time he had also been fighting in Japan. And until like a week before this event, Hulk Hogan was a heel. He was managed by Freddie Blassie. He's a dick, and he still fights like a heel in this match, but we'll get to that later. So I mean, that's pretty much where this sits in history. We had Bob Backlund lose to the Iron Sheik just a few weeks before. This is pretty much Iron Sheik's first title defense, and it doesn't go well for him, to say the least. And it's still an old school show, so the heavyweight title match is not the last match on the card. It is the main event. It is the big draw, but it is not the last match on the card, because the last match on the card back in these days, you're going to throw in a ton of talent that's really popular. And at that time, that means Andre the Giant.
Of course. Who else are you going to call in this circumstances? Get Andre on the phone.
As in WWF timeline here, we're at a cusp that's very similar to what we've discussed in the pre-Attitude Era, that the new generation WWF back in the early 90s, where Razor Ramon, Bret Hart, Undertaker were really getting the spotlight. And it's a similar situation here, to where the WWF is staring down the barrel of an aging roster. And we'll talk about their ages of the performers as we go. But Hulk Hogan is like the second youngest on the card, and he's already 30 years old at this point.
It's a AARP convention up in here.
Yeah, and these are guys that you don't necessarily associate being that old, but they're already old. Now, I mean, back in these days, they didn't do that many superplexes and hurricanranas and inseguris and, the stuff that just like destroys your body in an instant. But they had to you had to fight harder on the road to get up to this level that they're in. So it takes longer.
Also much more likely to die in a car wreck driving between 300 and some shows a year on the road, multiple hours and miles at a time.
Right. So it is definitely an aged roster, and the WWF is looking for a new talent to carry them, because Ivan Putski's getting up there. Bruno Sammartino's already retired, and they're a face territory. They love having their championship on the good guy. So who is that good guy? Because Bob Backlund's done pretty much for a while here. He's going to come back, ironically, in the early 90s.
For one of the more bizarre return runs, I got to say.
Oh, my God.
Crazy. Talk about being out of place, right?
And he comes back as a heel.
Yeah, that's so weird. Well, but that's not relevant right now. But
no, we don't need to dig into that. So also they took away 2 matches from what we see on the Peacock. So there was 2 other matches on this card, and one of them really disappoints me that we don't get to see it. And that is Tito Santana versus Don Morocco for the Intercontinental title. They took that off of this, and I'm sure it's because they only wanted Hulk Hogan to be the title match that you see on television.
Yeah, that's a tragedy, though, because that was probably a banger.
Before all the action starts, Gorilla Monsoon and Pat Patterson are talking more about that match and being excited for that match than they are about Hulk Hogan and Iron Sheik. Even though the moment they hit the air, they're talking about, this night feels magical. This is going to be amazing. There's something special that's going to happen. We can feel it. They're like really building the anticipation, but then they dig into like, we're really looking forward to this Tito Santana Don Morocco match.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of energy, and the garden is popping. Everybody's out and ready for a good time. So are we ready to get into this bad boy?
Pat Patterson and Gorilla Monsoon are actually talking about one of the first participants, Tony Gurria, and that he's a 5-time tag champion looking for a new partner, and they suggest Tito Santana for him.
Hey.
I decided to look up who he's won the tag championships with, and so he's won it 5 times with 4 different partners, with Haystacks Calhoun, Dean Ho, Larry Zbyszko, and twice with Rick Martel.
Oh, interesting. And Tony Gurria we saw on another special, right? He was one of the Royals or something like that.
I believe
the Royal Family. Was that his gimmick?
No, I don't think he was with that.
It's a different guy.
I think
All
so.
Right. My bad. Never mind me. I'm just over here.
Though you would recognize him because he used to be later in WWF history. You would see him help break up brawls ringside and stuff like that. He'd be one of the producers running down because he had a big backstage role with WWE in the early 2000s and the 90s.
He looks like a legit old school tough guy, I gotta say. He's got gigantic forearms. He's got these big ass old school. I'm gonna keep using the word old school here because sailor tattoos and just this.
Those sailor tattoos are amazing.
Like your grandpa had, right, from his time in the Navy.
Yeah.
I got these done in Polynesia, and there's just a magnificent head of curly hair. He looks great. He's up here against Jose Luis Rivera from Puerto Rico. Tony Gurria's from New Zealand, by the way. They get off to a good start. There's a lot of old school kind of chain and amateur wrestling moves, and some
Yeah.
reversals to the chicken wing. Some actually really nice moves. The whole thing's not like terribly exciting, I would say, but
No,
it's
you can hear
really
the
like,
crowd booing and
yeah.
telling and screaming boring and like snoring and stuff like that. It's pretty funny.
But there's some pretty crisp and kind of technical things going on here, which I sort of appreciated.
There's some nice shoulder blocks. And then what really got me was the moment where Tony rolls up Jose into like a small package or a sunset flip or something. And he has his weight sitting down on his legs, and he gets out of the pin by actually doing a massive like inverted leg squat and like pushes the guy, like kicks his leg straight up in the air and like lifts Tony up. It's really impressive.
I thought we were going to reference the cartwheel.
Oh, the cartwheel was pretty spectacular. Not bad for a 37-year-old. Tony Gurria is 37 in this match.
Yeah. The Rivera does a drop kick while Tony's sort of down in a position for a backdrop and just really whiffs it, and the crowd boos.
Yeah, it's a definite botch. They
Yeah.
miscommunicated something there. And then the finish was a rolled through crossbody, and the ref was really slow to get down, and then counts really fast, like 1, 2, 3, and that's it. Like that ref was fixed. Someone paid him off or something to count that fast.
New York State Athletic Commission, my ass. That was Chicago nonsense all the way.
I know, totally. And that there was a handshake to start the match and a handshake to end the match. So two faces facing off against each other to kick off the show. And the crowd was not happy with this match.
Good sportsmanship, guys. Good sportsmanship.
Yeah.
But watching it on TV, 39 years later, I got to say I was moderately entertained. So,
yeah, I was digging it. And I mean, the crowd, I think, was just disappointed because it's a very Puerto Rican crowd. It's very pro Puerto Rico. And Luis sadly doesn't win. And so that's that. But, Jose is 23 years old and fighting in front of Madison Square Garden. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Going to go far, young man. So speaking of a pro Puerto Rico crowd, the next matchup is the Invaders. So it's Invader number 1 and Invader number 2. They're masked guys. They look like jobbers, but it's actually some decent Puerto Rican wrestling circuit talent underneath those masks. Jose Gonzalez and Roberto Soto are the Invaders, and they are fighting Tiger Chung Lee, a.k.a. Kim Duck, and Mr. Fuji.
Mr. Fuji,
who has a full head of hair, and it looks incredible. I didn't know what the hell was going on.
Samurai warrior, Mr. Fuji. He's waving an Imperial Japanese flag from like World War II. Like, dude, he been hiding in a bunker, didn't know the war's over?
He was going for it.
How old do you think Mr. Fuji is here?
I'm going to guess he's 38.
He is 49.
Holy shit.
Mr. Fuji is 49 years old at this match.
I was going to go 40, and I thought, well, that's way too old. He can't be 40. Oh, my dear God.
Chung Lee is the youngest in this match at 35. Invader 1 and 2 are 38 and 36, respectively.
Man.
And soon to be murderers.
And soon to be murderers, yeah. I don't know if we want to get into that at the moment here, or you want to talk about the match first?
Yeah, we can talk about the match.
There's some huge boos for the Asian team. The Invaders are over big time. The crowd is super hot for them.
Yeah.
There's some good work with some double teaming on Tiger Chung Lee to start. Some quick tag actions and back and forth. Lee is huge. And
quick
seems
tag action. That's a little underselling what was happening there.
Fast and Furious.
They probably tagged in and out 20 times within 2 minutes. The Invaders, like, they would tag, drop down onto Chung Lee's leg, then hold the leg, tag their partner. The other guy would jump in, jump on the leg, hold it down, jump in, tag back, like 20 times. I've never seen anything like that in tag team wrestling. I've never seen that before. And then they did it like several other times in the match too. They got on Fuji in the same way.
They keep going back to the leg. That's their thing.
Yeah, Fuji is an amazing seller. I was taken aback by how good he was at selling through this whole match. And I shouldn't be surprised because he was great at selling as a manager. Him being like really putting over the invaders and stuff like that. He did good.
So the other thing that was really distracting me throughout this match, and I must have just stopped paying attention to it, is that the ropes are super loose.
Yeah.
Like it looked like somebody was going to flip over them at any moment and really, really hurt themselves. So I don't know if they tighten it up for later, like I said, or if I just maybe just stopped paying attention to it.
WWF is still like promoting some boxing, I think, at this time too. So they're using the same ring for both. So in boxing, you got looser ropes. I don't think they tighten them up so much as they start like, if you watch them when they go into the ropes and bounce off the ropes, they're not hitting them dead center. They're doing that stuff closer to the corner.
That makes sense.
Yeah, there was some mild racism out of Pat Patterson during this match. The first one was Fuji seems to be disoriented. Pardon the pun. He says that Mr. Fuji owns lots of rice fields.
That doesn't make sense. So you're saying he's a successful farmer.
He's a successful farmer, and he's farming, and he's wrestling in the U.S. for some reason. Great.
At the age of 49.
Yeah. A real successful farmer. Tiger and Fuji both do some amazingly good suplexes as well. Tiger does this beautiful side German suplex thing, and Fuji has a great gut wrench suplex, basically just throwing the invaders around the ring. It's really impressive. And at one point, Gorilla Monsoon starts talking about having bananas thrown at him during this match.
Yeah, I think they were talking about his career, right? About Gorilla's career.
Yeah, I think they got bored with the match, and they just started talking randomly about weird things in Gorilla Monsoon's career, and one of them was he had bananas thrown at him.
Because he's a gorilla, you get it?
Yeah, I get it. And then he talks about Cameron number 5 and how great the work Cameron man number 5 is doing.
Yeah, that guy's killing it over there.
Yeah. And then Gorilla starts calling Tiger Chung Lee the Chunger.
Big Chungus. This is a good match, but I'd say it goes on a little too long. And there's some long like wear down moves from Fuji that kind of look like he's giving the guy a Swedish massage. So I mean, it looked like it might actually feel good. You know, it's getting deep into the shoulder muscles. The invaders do the old partner switch thing since they're indistinguishable in their masks there.
Even though one of them is like clearly like 3 to 4 inches taller than the other.
Yeah, one's very, very much larger, but he does a crossbody onto somebody's leg, which I hadn't seen before.
Yeah,
weird.
And then they eventually get the Fuji and Chung Lee into the rowboat, which I had only seen in little person matches.
Yeah, it's like a weird. Lord. It's like a 4-way leg hold figure 4, figure 16. I don't know.
Yeah, and like I don't understand why you'd be so cooperative to let someone do that to you. It's like it doesn't make sense. But then we have a time limit draw because, good God, they go 20 minutes.
Yeah, and the crowd is not happy about that at all. So, yeah, we come all that way. Decent match. I was going to say the other thing that I noticed is, did you notice how long the tag ropes are on this one?
Yes, they could stand almost in the middle of the ring and tag. It was crazy.
Yeah. Again, wrap it up, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's tighten up our shit a little bit. So, do you want to talk a little bit about Mr. Gonzalez and Mr. Soto there?
Yeah,
kind of critical role to play in some unfortunate wrestling history.
Yeah, so Jose Gonzalez is infamous for the 1988 stabbing of Bruiser Brody at a Puerto Rican wrestling show, and then being found not guilty due to self-defense. That he claimed that Brody was attacking him in the shower. Tony Atlas, I believe, claims to have seen the whole event, and Soto also had seen the entire event, Invader number 2. And then Dutch Mantel and someone else were subpoenaed to testify, but the subpoenas didn't arrive at their houses until a week after the trial ended. And they believe that there was some shenanigans about that because Puerto Rico did not want to put their golden boy in jail for murder, especially for murdering a white guy. So,
yeah, even though he totally did that shit.
He totally did it. He totally just stabbed Bruiser Brody. So it is a bit of a blemish on the wrestling world at that point, and still one of the most controversial things. If you want to know more, there is a Dark Side of the Ring episode put out by Vice on this that you can probably find on YouTube, floating around on the internet somewhere, if not just on demand it.
Oh, we should maybe say he allegedly totally did that shit, just so we
He
don't get sued.
allegedly totally admitted to doing it, but claimed self-defense, and the jury believed him because it was Puerto Rico, and they believed it was a work because wrestling was real back then. A little too real for Bruiser Brody,
Yeah.
but it was real.
I mean, the stories that I've heard about the Puerto Rico territory, it sounds basically real. Like, it's not like a place that a lot of guys wanted to go. It was known as a particularly sort of violent and unpleasant place to perform, and a sort of taking your life in your hands to go there. So
I recently watched a match of Tito Santana versus Macho Man Randy Savage from Puerto Rico in the rain. They didn't cancel the outdoor event despite it being a pouring down thunderstorm. And they basically can't do anything in the ring because it's so freaking wet. And the crowd is bananas. They are losing their minds over this match. And Macho Man had to like run because he's fighting Tito Santana. He might not be Puerto Rican, but that's a Spanish name. And
he's Puerto Rican to me, damn it.
Right.
Yeah, that Rich posted that to our Facebook group, I believe. So check that out. It's a hell of a thing. We got a lot of matches to get to. We should probably keep it moving along. The next up on this card is the Masked Superstar, which is our old buddy Bill Eadie, aka the Axe from the Demolition. Hot damn, I like it. I like the guy. I'm excited. Versus Chief J Strongbow. So first off, Bill Eadie is a friggin' monster.
Oh my God, he is so big in this match.
I love that guy.
Yeah.
Strongbow starts out with some dance steps, and Eadie like backs up and yells and like points at him. He's like, "What the hell's he doing?"
Yeah, that's so good. They're jawing at each other through the whole match. It's so great. How old do you think Chief J Strongbow is in this match?
49.
55.
Sweet Jesus.
55. Collect your pension and go home, man. Go eat some Jell-O.
I like this is a fun game. So he's getting the AARP magazine for sure.
Yeah, totally.
Like, Fuji will be starting to get his the next year, but Strongbow's getting his.
Yeah, with Strongbow mouthing off, Gorilla Monsoon says he's giving him some of the gaga.
The other thing that Gorilla says here is there's a close-up on Chief J, and Gorilla says, "Years of experience. You're looking at years of experience on that face."
Yeah, 55 of them.
Troubles of the world.
Oh,
like, it was fucking poetic. It was beautiful. I'm like,
Gorilla
Gino,
Monsoon is so great.
You're breaking my heart. Troubles of the world. I need to get like just a little recording of that and use it as like my ringtone or something. I don't know. People still have ringtones? Probably not.
While Gorilla Monsoon is saying that, you can hear someone faintly in the crowd yelling, "He's not an Indian." He's not an Indian.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. Chief J Strongbow is not a real Native American.
I believe he's Italian. Was he Italian?
He was Italian.
Yeah. Yeah. Close enough. It's like when Charles Bronson all those years just got to play like just whatever national or whatever ethnicity they could dig up. They're like, "Oh, you look like that kind of Chuck." And they just throw one in there.
I mean, it's something that also Hollywood apparently did, was they would frequently cast olive complected Italians and other Mediterraneans to play Native Americans in movies. Chief J Strongbow's real name was Luke Joseph Scarpa. Right off the reservation.
By reservation, you mean a hitter for the Boston crime families. Allegedly.
Yeah. Like a reservation at Olive Garden. That's what.
They don't take reservations. I am enjoying the conversation between Gino and Pat about who the Masked Superstar might be. And Gorilla says at one point he thought he might know, but now he's not so sure. And then they're talking about how the Masked Superstar even wears his mask in the shower. He has a lighter version that is, quote, like a cheesecloth.
So these guys are tearing it up on commentary. God, they're such a good pairing. I need to watch more of just them doing commentary. Like, I don't care who's fighting, but this match, there isn't much to it.
No.
It's a lot of jawing, and then, I mean, Strongbow's 55 and looking like Marlon Brando, so I'm not surprised.
Wait, which Marlon Brando? Not young, sexy Marlon Brando.
No, he looks like Marlon Brando in The Godfather. Like, I think he could have been like The Godfather's like a stunt double. But like, it's mostly just like Pat Patterson going, I guarantee you Strongbow is going to go for the mask. And then 30 seconds later, Strongbow goes for the mask.
Yeah, total heel move, by the way.
I don't know if it was intentional, but like, Strongbow was no-selling a lot of stuff in this match. I don't know if he didn't want to put up with Bill Eadie's shit or what. And then Mask is really selling and putting Strongbow over pretty well, but then it just ends with like a weird stiff clothesline that's nasty, and Strongbow goes down for the pin.
Yeah, and the crowd is not happy once again.
No.
That's 3 in a row. This crowd's gonna riot.
Yeah.
No. It's probably because Chief Strongbow was not a real Indian. He would have done better.
Yeah.
If he
You're
had
not an Indian.
I want to hear more about the Masked Superstar's cheesecloth shower mask.
I want to see it.
Yeah, I saw it on QVC.
Makes me think of like Scarecrow in Batman. Like, that's what I'm picturing.
So next up on the card is more old. Oh, look, it's more old guys. So Ivan Putski, the Polish Power, they just call him here, as opposed to the Polish Hammer usually, right? Am I
know the Polish Hammer is like his big move, but I'm not sure.
It's the Polish Power.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's wrestling Sergeant Slaughter.
Yeah.
And the crowd is mixed. So Slaughter has always, as we talked about on one of our other episodes, almost always been the heel.
He is a heel. He is almost always nonstop a heel.
He looks great here, though.
He might have been a face very briefly in WWF, and he was face in AWA for a good period. But most of the time in his WWF time, he's a heel, and it's stolen valor. He was never a Marine either.
Him and John Cena. There's a guy in the crowd who's saluting Sergeant Slaughter. I can't tell if it's ironic or not.
It's in New York. It's most likely ironic, and we probably didn't see all of the salute. There's a sign that says Sergeant Gomer Pyle.
I like that one too.
There's a Real Thinker one though. So it says Sergeant Slaughter, but they cross out the S, so it's Sergeant Laughter.
Oh wow, that's deep.
Deep.
Gorilla describes him as one tough hombre from the United States Marine Corps.
Sure.
Also, his entrance music is this god-awful circus version of the Marine Corps hymn. It is dreadful.
I'm not sure if that was piped in, like added in post or what. I'm not sure. Because I mean, they really weren't doing theme songs for people. So I don't know. I couldn't find anything to verify that, but I was suspicious of him having entrance music.
That's an interesting point. I mean, one of the big things that really set Hogan apart was that rock and roll anthem, right? Like that was one of his that's one of the big things that put him over.
Yeah. So how old do you think Ivan Putski is in this match?
I love this game. Okay, 52.
He's actually younger. He's 43.
Okay, 43.
His 43rd birthday was just like 2 days before this match.
Wow, he's a baby.
And Slaughter is already 36 years old going into this match.
Sergeant Slaughter is one of those guys who's just always looked old.
He looks old and young at the same time. It's really weird. I think it's the chin. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Who's the guy in the cardigan that's just like walking around with Sergeant Slaughter?
I don't know. He's not listed on like the WrestleMania, the Wikipedia thing. And they don't really talk about him.
No, but he's very weird, and he shows up multiple times through the whole event. I don't know what the deal is with that guy.
Is he actually part of the show, or is he just some random fan?
I don't know. I don't know. Like he didn't bother to dress up for whatever's happening here.
So at the beginning of this one, Putski does some of his flexing, and he's an absolute unit. And Gorilla says, "You don't get that way by waiting for the bus."
No. I love that they were talking about how Putski weighed over 300 pounds at some point, apparently, and he worked to get into this shape, apparently. So I thought that was kind of impressive that they're talking about that kind of stuff. And then they start talking about how Putski told him that he likes to have a beer every once in a while, because everybody else has a beer. That's directly what they say. And then Gorilla Monsoon talks about how Putski just loves to sing, especially when he drinks some beers, and that he sings that old Polish melody of love.
Hmm. Troubles of the world. Troubles of the world. They also talk about his dietary choices, including how much he loves to eat raw onions and garlic.
Yeah.
How you can smell him coming,
Yeah.
like several rooms away because of his diet.
Yeah.
All this is going on, by the way, while these guys are taking forever to actually lock up. And and I actually kind of like it. Like they circle each other for a long time before they ever actually touch each other, and you don't see that shit anymore.
No, they really build the heat up. The Slaughter is not popular with the people. And the camera work, they're even talking about the camera work, how great the camera work is at the start of this match, because they catch Ivan's reflection in
The glasses, yeah.
Slaughter's mirrored aviator glasses and stuff like that. And I couldn't help but to think, like, the NWA shows at this point, you're lucky that they're even videotaped. You're lucky that someone captured them, and like it's a smoky, dark room. Meanwhile, this is Madison Square Garden, and you're getting these artistic camera shots.
This is some NFL Films shit going on here.
Right. Like, this is serious, like taking this as an art, and the presentation of this is already better than any NWA show that we've watched, even the ones that happened 5 years after this one. The commentary is better. The camera work is better. The arena's nicer. The ring is nicer looking. Like, this is a clean, polished product that's already paying attention to how it's going to be marketed and presented to the fans, not just in person, but on television.
Yeah, it's very professional. Production values are through the roof especially for this time period. It's great.
And this is just a local network broadcast too. This is just what was broadcast in like the New York general area on the Madison Square Garden television network.
Yeah, we should point out this is not a pay-per-view, right?
No.
This is pre-WrestleMania 1. So they only had one other pay-per-view before that. So this is before they kind of are even looking in that direction.
Right. This is just a house show from Madison Square Garden that we're watching.
So Putski winds up on Sarge with a big headlock and just keeps cranking it down. And all the while, Gorilla and Pat are talking about how Sarge is going to get cauliflower ear.
That'll give you some cauliflower ears in a hurry, is the direct quote.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's a couple of nice backbreakers from Sarge, and Putski's selling the back. There's a nice, he reverses the turnbuckle slam for a big pop, and then Sarge comes up bleeding after that.
Yeah.
That's first blood on this show.
And only blood, I think.
Is that right? Yeah, I think you're probably right.
Yeah. One of my favorite spots is just where Sergeant Slaughter gets tossed over the ropes and his chin gets hooked on the bottom rope, and he's like struggling between the apron and the rope, and like Putski has to come over and kick him in the back of the head to free him. It's a nice moment, and then that leads eventually to actually Sergeant Slaughter winning this match by countout.
Yeah, that spot's kind of lame, but like I thought it was totally appropriate and hilarious that it was his chin that got caught.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of technical stuff, but there's a lot of storytelling in this match and a lot of fighting and just a good time. It's a good, fun match to watch. Putski is Hammond to the crowd as the face, and Slaughter is just being a dickhead the whole time. Like, it's good theater. This is a good theater match.
So I want to point out that the referee for this match, Jack Lutz, LOTZ, was a mainstay of the New York wrestling scene forever, as well as the boxing scene in New York. He worked the first 3 WrestleManias. He appeared as a ref in Raging Bull, and then in the Hurricane, the one with Denzel Washington. He actually just died in 2020. He was 86 years old from COVID-related complications. So real, kind of amazing figure, actually, right here at the center of all this stuff. So I thought that was kind of interesting. We actually have our first promo. We've gone, what is this, 3 matches now until we get our first promo? 4 matches?
4 matches, actually, and then, like, I think in between here, during this time is when the Tito Santana versus Don Morocco match would have happened, and also the Haiti Kid and Tiger Jackson versus Dana Carpenter and Pancho match.
Oh, man.
Also had already happened on the card by now, I believe. So
we miss all the good stuff.
We missed the little person match. We missed the Intercontinental title match. Damn it.
Well, I'm gonna search around on the YouTubes and see if I can't find the Tito Santana match.
That match has to be out there. So I mean, I think it had to been removed at some point fairly recently, because I've seen other blogs about this special that are much older. They mention watching this match, so it's got to be out there somewhere.
All right, we'll find it. If you know exactly where it is, then you should send it to us by email at allthewrestlemanias@gmail.com, or maybe tweet it at us at WrestleManiaPod. But our promo here is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff with Mean Gene. It's beautiful. He's set to wrestle Salvatore Bellomo in the next match, and he says that you're nothing but a spaghetti eater to good old Salvatore.
Yeah, he's got that subtle Southern accent to it. You're no more than a spaghetti eater to me. It's so good.
How old is Mr. Wonderful here?
Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff, is 35 years old.
Damn.
So, like, he's even, and Salvatore Bellomo, who is like, he looks young, is 34. So.
Oh, wow. Salvatore also Belgian, by the way, not Italian.
Of course he is.
Yeah. So the actual match is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff with Rowdy Piper in his corner versus good old Salvatore. He's waiting in the ring, which is never a good sign.
It's not good for you, buddy.
Mr. Wonderful is wonderful. He's just
what an amazing talent to watch in this match.
He's so great. He's a consummate professional. He's just a legit tough guy. He's all around heel. He went face for a little bit. He was like buddies with Hulk Hogan till he finally turned on Hulk Hogan and gave him a pile driver. But for me, he will always be like just really the quintessential heel of this time period. Him and Piper, I'd put it like 1 and 2 probably in terms of
these guys is put on a spectacle. There's like a solid 5 minutes of just heel stall tactics, from refusing to get in the ring. No, I'm not getting in the ring until Salvatore gets in a neutral corner. I'm not getting in the ring until you check Salvatore's knee brace for foreign objects. And Piper is like, no, the time's not right. They even like turn around and start heading back towards the locker room. And then like the ref starts counting, and so they come back finally to get in the ring. It's so good. It's so dramatic. And then Piper, the moment the match starts, this Piper is screaming nonstop outside of the ring. You can hear him screaming, get on his ass, get on his ass. It's so good. It's so amazing. And then like anytime Salvatore gets close to the ropes, Piper is right there in his face, just screaming obscenities at him the whole time.
Yeah, it's beautiful chaos. We should probably point out this is Mr. Wonderful's Madison Square Garden debut too.
It is.
He makes the most of it. That's for goddamn sure.
It's a hell of one. He milks this moment, and they just get every single bit of energy out of that crowd. And Paul then starts putting Salvatore over, making these amazing sells, the shaking and like the selling of the knee injury, and then the selling of the elbow injury, and like limping and just like screaming in pain and stuff. Oh, and they got the crowd riled up. That crowd is rabid. They're going to beat the shit out of Piper if he doesn't get out of there.
Yeah, he sells the arm and the shoulder. Orndorff does for quite a bit. There's a little flurry of offense from Sal there, and a huge suplex from Orndorff. He cuts him off, hits him with the suplex, and they go out of the ring for a little bit, and he gets him another suplex. He has some of the neatest suplexes
Yeah.
out there. I will say, I don't know if it's because Salvatore is a little bit taller, but he kept like bending his knees instead of dropping flat or
Hmm.
taking those suplexes. It kind of spoiled it a little bit, but that's okay. And then, of course, we get that amazing pile driver from Mr. Wonderful to wrap it all up. That's a beautiful and vicious move.
Yeah, the finish on this is beautiful. Like Salvatore's really got the momentum going, and he bounces off the rope and comes charging at Paul, and Paul turns it into a massive, beautiful power slam, like full rotation, plants Salvatore on his ass right on the mat with it. And then he gets a 2 count and pulls him up and says he's not done with him. And so he lines him up for the pile driver. He pulls him up and he jumps into the landing of the pile driver. It is a violent looking pile driver. Salvatore, I'm amazed he could walk after this match after that pile driver. Gorilla Monsoon says, "That's it. Cover him up. You could count to 100. He's unconscious." And he's probably right.
Oh, his neck has been rammed up into his own asshole.
And then my favorite finishing touch on this match is that when the Fink gets into the ring to use the over the ring microphone to announce Paul Orndorff as the winner, Orndorff positions himself perfectly with his back to the camera to block Fink and is flexing his back while Fink has to like dodge to get around him to announce him as the winner. You can't help but to see Paul Orndorff and nobody else in that shot. And that takes a lot of skill to know exactly where you're at and exactly how to line up with the camera to pull off something like that. And it's a gorgeous moment.
He's a maniac. We love him. R.I.P. Mr. Wonderful. All right, it's time for the main event. That's not actually the main event. It's like the sub-main event, but it's why we're here. There's a Freddie Blassie promo with Mean Gene. He's wearing a like Arabian chic headdress. He's
The
very confident.
Ayatollah Freddie Blassie.
Ayatollah Freddie Blassie. I don't know if he's allowed to call himself that.
That's what he was being called. So
and the Sheik, there's the Sheik. Like when the camera moves and the Sheik is standing there, I about peed myself a little bit because he's resplendent.
he is a god. He is a god. He is golden god.
He is a golden god. Yeah, he's like slightly oily and he's like his mustache is perfect. So he starts out just rapid fire in Persian. Just until Mean Gene sort of says, "I know you speak English." He switches to English. I think that's maybe that's maybe being a little generous on Mean Gene's part. He kind of speaks English, but that's okay. But the gist of what the Sheik, the Legend of the Earth, is saying is that he's pissed because he wants to wrestle Bob Backlund again, but instead he's got this jabroni Hulk Hogan. So he took the belt off of Bob Backlund. He wants the rematch because he wants to show Backlund that it wasn't a fluke. It shows him that he can humble him.
Freddie Blassie starts off the promo with an old-fashioned timer. They pulled a 96er on us. Like back in my day, the nickels were wooden and they had bees on them, kind of thing. And then Sheik goes over and finally starts speaking English, and he says, "I beat the Bob Backlund fair and the square in the Madison Square Garden." Then they send in the animal Hulk Hogan. "I don't know the guy. I never met the guy. I should be beating Bob Backlund again." What a great little promo.
Yeah, no, it's great.
So the whole story here is that up until like 2 weeks before this match, Hulk Hogan is a bad guy and managed by Freddie Blassie. And Bob Backlund gets jumped by the Wild Samoans, top heel tag team. And Hogan runs down and saves Bob Backlund from the Wild Samoans. And then Backlund just gives a promo that says Hogan has gotten rid of Freddie Blassie and is a good guy. And now Hulk Hogan's a face.
I don't say that was easy.
Yeah, and then because of all that, Hulk Hogan is supposedly a last-minute replacement for Bob Backlund in this match. Now, I don't know how far they kayfabe this to where they actually advertised at some point Bob Backlund versus Iron Sheik, the rematch, and then became Hulk Hogan, but it was definitely planned to be Hulk Hogan versus the Iron Sheik in this match.
Clearly. Yeah, so this is Hulk Hogan versus the Iron Sheik with Classy Freddie, the Ayatollah Blassie for the World Wrestling Federation Heavyweight Championship. Jack Lutz is back again to ref. The Sheik comes out first, which again, never a good sign. He's got the belt, remember.
Yep.
So he's out there with. Does he have his flag on this one?
No.
I didn't remember the flag. I didn't write it down
No.
anyway. And then we cut to this shot. Yeah, I have seen roughly 1 million times. It's Hogan in the sort of runway in the back, waiting to come out, and he's got his American Made T-shirt on. He's sort of smacking his pecs and getting hyped up and ready to go,
Saying his prayers, crossing his,
prayers,
doing the signs of the cross thing.
and here he comes.
And so, before we get into anything else, how old do you think the Iron Sheik is at this moment?
37.
He is 41.
Jesus.
Hulk Hogan is 30.
30. Oh, he's a baby.
This is a very clear edit here. They overdub in Real American. Real American hasn't been written yet. It's not a thing yet. Real American's released the next year. And a little bit of trivia for you and for people at home. Do you know who Real American was originally written for? It was not intended to be Hulk Hogan's theme.
Was it another wrestler?
Yeah.
Was it Bob Backlund?
It was not. You want another guess?
Let me think. He's fighting for the rights of every man. And it's also coming crashing down, and it hurts inside. So Macho Man's not here yet, right?
No.
Macho Man. I feel like I should be able to pick this out. Was it Mr. Atlas? Tony Atlas?
No, it was actually written to be the theme song for Mike Rotunda and Barry Windham, the U.S. Express. But as the album with the song came out, the WrestleMania album came out, Mike Rotunda and Barry Windham signed contracts with the NWA. So they didn't ever get to have the theme song. They're like, fuck it, give it to Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, fascinating.
Good call. Good call on that one.
Yeah, glad they gave that up. So he could have been using Eye of the Tiger. That's what he used after Rocky III for a bit.
The crowd is already...
The crowd is hot, yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God. And there's this great sign that says, "The Sheik is a freak." I love these signs. These early signs are just so basic. And that person back then who wrote that sign is like, I'm going to fucking burn him. Look how mean. This is such a mean thing for me to say. It's going to be amazing.
I'm going to write it in the largest, smelliest marker I own.
10 years later on Monday Night Raw, we have a sign that says Bret Hart humps cows. So...
Although I will always appreciate the Shawn Michaels can die sign.
Things get a little edgier.
I'm going to my grave thinking that's the best sign for Monday Night Raw ever. Hulk is announced as the Incredible Hulk Hogan. Did you notice that?
Yeah, here comes the lawsuits.
Here comes the lawsuits.
Results for like 10 or so years after. WWE has to put like a little thing at the end of all their shows. It says the Incredible Hulk is a copyrighted property of Marvel Studios or whatever. Yep. So, yeah.
Yep.
Good job. Let them know that the world exists, and maybe they shouldn't just use copyrighted material. So maybe they should start writing their own theme songs.
Yeah. For example.
Yeah.
Cue Jimmy Hart. So anyway, yeah. So if you watch some of these earlier pay-per-views, it's on the first WrestleMania. If you watch it near the end, it has a little trademark statement for the Incredible Hulk, and they had to pay some halfway decent amount of money for quite a while to Marvel to use that. So anyway, the boos for the Sheik are outrageous.
Oh, so good. And he's not even really doing anything. Like, he's not singing the Iranian national anthem or going Iran #1, America or anything like that. He's not doing anything. He's just came down with Freddie Blassie.
He's just out there being Iranian.
Yeah, pretty much. That's enough. That's enough in New York City.
So I would say Hogan jumps right in with the heel moves. He starts out with an elbow and a clothesline while the Sheik is still getting out of his robe. Total heel move. He does another clothesline. He does a knee drop on the throat. Heel move, an eye rake, heel move, a choke, sort of holding Sheik up in the air, heel move.
Open choke, just a blatant, straight up, my hands around your throat choke.
And then he spits on the Sheik. Spits on him.
Yeah.
On a grown man, spits on another grown man.
And Sheik is loving it. You can tell Sheik's having a blast in this match. You can tell. You can just tell that he's like, oh, this is great. This is the best thing ever.
There's a big boot from Hogan. This is a very short match. It's like 5 minutes total. He goes right into sort of a half-ass pin attempt that you know is not going anywhere.
No.
And then some more elbow drops. And then sort of the Sheik cuts him off, kind of starts getting the heat on him. He ducks the splash in the corner and kind of goes to work. He's kicking him in the ribs with those pointy boots of his.
His kicks are so good. If did you want, I rewatched this match today, and Sheik has this way of doing the kicks to where like he jumps in the air off of one foot and lands the kick and the other foot on the mat at the same time. So you get that great like real sound happening from the kicks, and it's in perfect sync because he's landing right as his foot hits Hogan every time. It's the little things, you know.
He's incredibly athletic considering he's sort of shaped like a keg.
Yeah, well, at this point, he's still like ripped. He's still got muscles on muscles at
Still
this
got
point,
abs, yeah.
but he's lean. He's so
Yeah.
lean. It's ridiculous.
He gets a pretty impressive backbreaker on Hogan considering the size difference between the two of them. And then he throws a Boston Crab on him. Hogan kind of powers out of it. And then there's a weird side suplex thing. And then he gets Hogan in the camel clutch. You know, that was
This is it.
that's his finisher. He's in trouble. Hogan's gonna
The
have
crowd
a
is
tap.
screaming and pointing and yelling and just angry and just, oh, they can't believe it. They're Hulk Hogan's in the camel clutch. This is it. This is it. This is the end. This is the end for him, right?
Yeah, is he going to be able to power out of the camel clutch? Nobody powers out of the camel clutch.
No. And Hogan is selling it. He is wincing, and suddenly you see his right hand with the finger doing the shaking the no. And then he starts shaking a little bit, and suddenly he's got his knees under him and he's lifted Sheik up. He is out of it. He is out of it. And the crowd is foaming at the mouth. They can't contain themselves. You know, the arena is shaking at this point. I bet you they're at 140 decibels. You know, how loud. And then Hogan drops the leg. 1, 2, 3, new champion. Literal pandemonium is happening in this arena at this point. They can probably hear this in Penn Station down below over the trains. They can probably hear it up Broadway. Jersey. They can probably hear this celebration over in Jersey and on Liberty Island. Like,
it's
holy
seriously
shit.
one of the hottest crowds I've ever seen. Like I was trying to find something to compare it to, but you know, some of those WrestleMania things maybe, but it's nuts. So
There's probably people having sex in the crowd. They're so excited. They can't contain themselves.
there were women
mind blowing.
There were women who were virgins when they came into this who had babies in the aisle during this match.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, Hulk Hogan's only been there a couple weeks, and he's that over.
He's the Elvis of the WWF, you know.
And in Madison Square Garden, like, he just came out with Jailhouse Rock, and people can't handle it.
Yeah. Again, total time on this bad boy is 5 minutes and 40 seconds, and literally everything about professional wrestling changes in that time. Like, it's if you were not paying attention, you were about to get run the fuck over by a little operation out of Connecticut.
Yeah,
and a speech by way of Florida.
Yeah, the camera work is spectacular through the whole thing. You see all the action. You don't miss a beat of anything. And then it's not even just the pin and the win. That's where a lot of the clips you see cut off. Mm-hmm. It's the aftermatch.
The aftermath is hilarious.
The aftermath is over the top. It's hilarious. And it is WWE to the core to this day.
Yeah. So they're trying to load the Sheik onto what has to be the flimsiest stretcher ever created. But he doesn't want to let them fight. Doesn't want to let them strap him down. So he's like fighting back.
He is throwing punches at the medical staff.
And so he just, I don't know. And it's crazy.
Hogan starts taunting him. Yeah. Hogan is yelling at the Sheik as he's being put on a stretcher to get up and fight more. And like, Hogan spits at him. Like, he's still a heel. He's a heel. He's spitting at him. He's yelling at Sheik to get up, fight him like a man, get up. Sheik does. Sheik breaks out of the stretcher. charges Hogan in the corner, and they're throwing rights and they're throwing lefts. And then Hogan, you could see Hogan kind of whisper in his ear. This is the only time where it kind of breaks. You can see Hogan whisper in his ear going over the top. And Hogan grabs Sheik and he throws him over the top rope out onto the concrete. And Sheik takes a hell of a bump for him. And then Sheik gets up. He throws a chair in the ring at Hogan. Hogan picks up that chair and starts waving at him to come in the ring. There's people holding Sheik back.
Come and try it.
Come and try it. And then Hogan goes down on his knees, praying for Sheik to come at him, and is like waving at him with both arms. It's amazing. It's such theater, and it's such chaos, and it's beautiful, and it is the change of everything.
Yeah.
It is really the big one. It's the 9.0 earthquake that breaks California off into the ocean. It is it's what the NWA missed.
Yep. And you could maybe even sort of say from there, it's all just kind of like playing out the clock, right? Playing out the string. Like this is it.
Right here, WCW doesn't even exist, but they're going out of business.
Yeah. No, it's a fantastic. If you haven't seen the whole thing, I recommend it. I'm sure you can find it on YouTube. Again, it's only 5 minutes. You can watch it on your smoke break, and it's well worth it. And then, of course, the beautiful coda to the whole thing is Mean Gene and Hogan back in the locker room, and he's talking about how Hulkamania is running wild. Mean Gene says, "You have arrived, Hulk Hogan." And then the part that really got me is his good buddy Andre the Giant comes in and pours champagne on the new champ. He's like, "I am very proud of you."
It's setting it up. It's setting it up already.
Yeah, and Ivan Putski and Rocky Johnson come in to help out. All the faces are having a great time.
And Hogan says, "This is better than going to the mountaintop 1,000 times." Is that a sex reference?
What mountaintop are we talking about?
I don't know, but winning that belt is better than going to it 1,000 times.
We'd have to ask somebody who likes physical activity, I guess.
Yeah, it's totally a sex reference.
I thought maybe he was just into the Old Testament and Moses or something. I don't know. Well, so bizarrely, that is not the end of this show.
You were so amped up, and like you can hear the crowd just like, I think the crowd is just like shaking and like shivering from like adrenaline overload through the rest of the show. Like they can't. It's like it's too sensitive. Stop touching it. Kind of reaction.
Don't look at it.
Don't even look at it, please.
So I mean, I guess we got to talk about these. We got to talk about these matches because that's what we're here for.
Well, yeah. I mean, the theme continues of holy shit, these guys are old already. Yeah.
So Rene Goulet, not to be confused with Robert Goulet. Goulet. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Versus Jimmy Superfly Snuka. I just wrote holy crap, how was that not the end of the show?
Like we're sweating. We're sweating after.
So Rene Goulet, he is one of those like teenage prodigies, wasn't he? Wasn't he like I need to look this up, but I thought
well, before you look him up, how old do you think he is in this match?
Oh, I don't know. 34.
He's 51.
What? Born 1932. Better known by his ring name, the number one Frenchman.
He is 51 years old in this match.
So that's clearly not the guy that I was thinking of.
No. How old is Snuka, do you think?
Oh, man. He looks fucking old. He's always looked old, though.
He's always looked old.
47.
He's 41. Okay. So that's the first one that you've overestimated.
Well, that's okay. Renee, the 50-whatever-year-old, jump starts this match. Snuka is, like, absolutely shredded. Like, what does that guy eat?
I don't know. I couldn't pay attention to this match. I assume he's just eating, like, raw eggs.
Yeah.
Coconut milk. Like, whatever gets it through.
He does a couple of beautiful leapfrogs. There's a big chop. There's a nice crossbody from the top rope that he's sort of known for. Yep. And he just walks off before the winner's even announced. Like, even he knows this is a fucking afterthought. He's like, I got a train to catch.
He's like, what the fuck are you thinking making me do this crappy match after that?
Yeah.
Like, especially like, because you have the 1-2 punch of the Paul Orndorff spectacle and then the Hulk Sheik spectacle. And then you just have these two schlubs come on out. And I mean, Jimmy Snuka's not a schlub. I have resentment towards him, even though he's dead. I'm still pissed about the refused to even acknowledge my existence when I asked him for an autograph.
Sorry.
Water under the bridge. It's okay. But yeah, this is why. Like, Snuka knows this is just a pastime. Like, and even like the match after this is better than this match. And Snuka's probably like, why are you making me fight a 51-year-old man?
Somebody's going to get hurt. And so then we do get a nice little, we're back to the locker room again with Mean Gene and Hulk Hogan and his parents, Ruth and Pete. They're so cute. They're so proud of him. So Pietro, Pete Bolea, and Ruth V. Bolea are both passed away now, but those are his actual parents, and they're super adorable. Pete died in 2001. Ruth died in 2011, so they've been gone for a little bit of a while.
They're both like so low energy though at the same time. It's so ridiculous. And then and like Mean Gene is like getting in the face of the dad, like he's really up close with the microphone and like, aren't you proud of your son? Aren't you happy? Aren't you great? Isn't Hogan great? And like the dad's is like, well, he did a nice job tonight. And then Hogan just comes back with this burst of energy saying that they're the ones who have trained him since he could toddle. He used toddle as a verb. Like, impressive. And then that's the end of the weird. It's a weird segment.
Yeah, you don't get the wrestler's parents anymore. That's not a thing. Yeah. Anyway, so then the final match here is a 6-man tag match. We've got the Wild Samoans in one corner. That's Afa, Sika, and Samu versus Rocky Johnson, Tony, Mr. USA, Atlas, and Andre the Giant. This one is scheduled for one fall or until curfew. Used to laugh.
Until we got to get the hell out.
Yeah. And this is the Samoans' sort of second WWF run. They had been around once and then they came back a second time. And Samu is Alpha's son. He was sort of added to the team during this second run here. Tony and Rocky obviously were a famous tag team, first black tag team champions, right?
Yep.
They are absolute units. Tony Atlas especially, he looks like a freaking action figure. It's crazy. And during this match, Gorilla and Pat are just not even pretending to pay attention. They're joking about how much champagne Andre will drink tonight and how many days a year he spends traveling and how familiar he is with airplanes. They're just talking about whatever.
Yeah, it is interesting that is Samula, who later partners with Rikishi.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I hadn't put that together. Thank you for tying that together. I was like, who the hell is that third Samoan? He's definitely a family.
See, I know stuff sometimes.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So
I didn't know.
Let's play
but that's okay.
Let's play the age game again.
Okay.
All right. So this is a fun one. So how old is Afa?
Oh man, he's the dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's 60.
He is 42 in this match.
I'm terrible at this.
Sika,
42. So he'd be. That's his brother, right?
Yeah.
40.
Close, 39.
Okay, that's pretty good.
And Samula.
Okay, so if Alpha is 42, maybe Samu's 22.
Close, 21.
All right.
Actually, he might have been 20. Yeah, he's 20 actually, because his birthday hadn't happened that year. So he is 20 years old in this match. So he is the youngest guy on the card.
Oh. See, I'm better with context clues.
Yeah. How about Andre?
Man, I should know when he was born after all these times we've talked about him. I'm going to say he was 36.
He's 38.
38, okay.
How about Rocky Johnson?
He's a little older, I think, right? He's also 38.
He is 39, so very close.
Okay.
And Tony Atlas, remember I gave you a clue about him. He's one of the youngest on the card.
Oh, okay. Is he 28?
He's 30.
30, okay.
So he's probably the one with the curfew. Him and Samula are probably the ones with curfew that they got to beat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Along with Jose.
Yeah, roll out, guys. There's I don't know. There's some fun stuff here. There's a kind of an impressive spot where Tony just flexes his muscles to get out of a full Nelson, which
yeah, glorious.
Yeah.
Andre is so over. Oh my God, the crowd loves him almost as much as they loved that Hulk Hogan Iron Sheik finish. They're amped up for Andre.
He gets in there and exchanges some big headbutts, which made me question, whose head is harder,
I love that. I loved it.
the French giant or the Samoans, because we know this is a factual thing. Wrestling has shown to us that all Samoans have super hard heads. It's
Impervious skulls.
yeah, it's a fact. So, but he gives the Samoans a big double headbutt, and then a big old boot, and then a nice sit down splash on Samu. Not really getting up from that one.
No, he's down, and it's rough. And like, boy, this is a quick hit and run. So like, it's pretty awesome just the way that plays out. That like Rocky Johnson and Tony Atlas are having trouble with the Samoans, and then finally they tag in Andre, who just lumbers into the ring and just fucking lays waste to everybody. Just big smash, and like he's got such an incredible look, and he's so big.
Yeah,
He's so scary, and he just crushes everybody, and then just sits on Samula's chest for the 3 count. The poor 20-year-old guy got Andre the Giant sitting on his head.
he's fine. I'm sure he's fine.
The show wraps up with Pat Patterson saying he'll never forget this night of January 23rd, 1983.
Wait a minute. Is Pat Patterson time traveling?
Yeah, Pat Patterson got the year wrong as he signed off of the show.
The new year is only 3 weeks old at this point, so it's the equivalent of writing it on your checks,
Yeah, poor Hulk Hogan's got his moment ruined because Pat Patterson can't remember the year. Oh, how will his career go now?
Yeah, I know we never heard from Hulk Hogan again after this moment.
Never again. Never again.
So, yeah. So, do you have a favorite match from all of that?
What a great show! Oh my God,
this was a lot of fun. I'm glad that we watched this one.
The favorite match, it's close between Paul Orndorff and Salvatore Bellomo and Hulk Hogan versus Sheik, but I mean, the moment of Hulk versus Sheik, you can't deny it.
Mm-hmm.
It's inevitable. It's the Thanos of professional wrestling. It's coming. You can't deny it. It is going to take control of everything. It's Hulkamania is running wild, and like Hulk is, Hulk runs around with this sign of some fan that says "I fear no man," and Hulkamania on it. Like, it's such a moment. It is the meteor that struck the dinosaurs of the wrestling world.
It's a big freaking deal. I mean, it's definitely the highlight of the card, even if the wrestling itself is sort of perfunctory. But again, that's one thing that we're learning here at this sort of this inflection point, is that the wrestling is sort of secondary to the show.
Yeah, the physicality is there to draw the sporting fans, but everybody is really in for the story, and that's what's getting painted here is this complicated, beautiful story. And now it's time for just Hulk to go on a run. It's time for him to make a friend and betray him. It's time for Hulk to make another friend and steal his wife and betray him. It's time for Hulk to make another friend and get him eliminated from the Royal Rumble and betray him
and gaslight him into thinking he's crazy.
It's running wild, man. This is the WWF just set up 9 years of storylines right with this match. It's incredible.
Well, I'd say with the whole show, even, having Mr. Wonderful here, and Rowdy Piper, some of these other guys don't have huge roles, but Sergeant Slaughter's going to be kicking around for a good bit of time.
Tito and Don Morocco, which we don't get to see, but they stick around for a long time. Tito makes it to the Monday Night Raw era
as the Matador.
You've got these old timers that are getting retired on this night, basically, like Putski, Strongbow, Fuji. Fuji becomes a manager pretty soon after this, I think. So, and then you got Hogan and Orndorff, who come out as stars as this night. It's incredible.
Yeah, as they should. We usually pick a worst match. I mean, I think for me, it's probably Renee and Jimmy Snuka, just because it's sort of the most useless on the card.
Those poor guys, they got screwed.
Yeah, that's not their fault.
Like, it's also just not a good match.
Did you have a oh shit moment?
I did. The oh shit moment is Sheik getting up off of the stretcher.
Yeah.
It's close with Andre sitting on Samula's head basically for the pin, but he's rolling around in pain. Like, oh my God, he is selling the big leg drop. He is selling the hell out of that. He's flopping around the ring as the Fink is making the announcement of Hulk Hogan as the new champion. He is flopping around like he's got a neck injury or something. And so they're trying to strap him down, and he just busts out. He can't handle Hulk Hogan taunting him from the corner. It's so good.
I was not prepared. I was not prepared for the sort of the aftermath of that match and the Iron Sheik acting like a complete maniac. That was beautiful.
You never see it. The clip is this Hogan dropping the leg and getting the pin and celebrating. But like, so you just assume that like, oh, well, after that happened, Sheik probably just rolled out of the ring, took him and Blassie backstage and yelled at Mean Gene or something. But no, he flopped around, then got strapped onto a stretcher, broke out of the stretcher, and charged at Hulk Hogan again.
And as we always do, we just like to take a moment to pay tribute to some of the men and women that we've seen in this event who are no longer with us. So our in memoriam section for this event from 1984 includes Gorilla Monsoon, Pat Patterson, referee Santos Ramos, referee Jack Lotz, Howard Finkel, Mr. Fuji, Chief J Strongbow, Mean Gene Okerlund, Rowdy Piper, Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, Salvatore Bellomo, Classy Freddie Blassie, Andre the Giant, Jimmy Superfly Snuka, Rene Goulet, and Pietro Pete Bolea and Ruth V. Bolea, parents of Hulk Hogan, and Jose Luis Rivera. All right, so again, thanks for joining us. Again, you can find us on allthewrestlemanias.com. Shoot us an email at allthewrestlemanias@gmail.com. We love hearing from you. Find us on your favorite social media platforms, Facebook and Instagram. If you'd like to support the show, you can go to ko-fi.com/allthewrestlemanias. Drop us $5 or whatever you feel is appropriate. We certainly would appreciate it. And for this episode, I'm your co-host, Tim.
And I'm Rich.
Saying so long, everybody.